Welcome to the Harley Roberts Room, aka Tour Guide Headquarters. I'm Daniel.
And I'm Teddy, and today we're going to be walking you through a tour and giving you some tips and tricks along the way. After you sign in for your tour at the front desk with Ms. Blomberg, there are two things that you should remember before you give your tour. The first thing is that you should write your email on a tour guide card to give to the family after your tour.
And the second thing is make sure you have the right uniform going on, like a tucked-in shirt and a class dress. Now, when you meet your family, you want to make sure that you greet them warmly. That means a firm handshake, a good smile, and telling them the things that really make Taft home for you.
Some of the things that could be unique to Taft that you'd want to mention on your tour could be something like this bust of Lincoln, where as students walk by, they make sure to rub the nose for good luck, and that's something that's just unique to Taft that you can point out. The next stop on your tour will be Bingham Auditorium. When you walk by, make sure you mention the difference between assembly and morning meeting, as well as the numerous amounts of plays, choral performances, and orchestras that perform here.
You can also use Bingham as a good opportunity to start getting to know the person you're touring. So you could ask them, like maybe they're interested in performing arts, and then you would tell them about the big musicals that we put on in Bingham and all the other events that go on in there. So the next stop on your tour is always just a standard classroom, and this is a good place to tell people about how at Taft there's a really big emphasis on conversation and the humanities and the kind of curiosity aspect of learning, and that Taft really tries to foster that curiosity for kids.
Make sure really to emphasize the great relationships that students can build with their teachers. I think that's one thing really unique to Taft is the fact that students can get to know their teachers on a much more personal level.
Yeah, we can continue to the art gallery. So one thing to remember about the art gallery is that what it really is a reflection of the importance of culture at Taft and how much Taft values culture on every level, whether it be student art or even art from outside artists. So it's definitely something to bring up to your tours.
Yeah, this is a great space just to show off because not a lot of schools have this. It's really unique to Taft, so.
Yeah.
Alright, so the next stop on the tour route is actually the Black Box. And make sure to mention not just that the Black Box is used for improv, but also that it's used for public speaking, drama, as well as play rehearsals are held here.
Yeah, and it's a good opportunity just to remind people that you're touring that Taft has a lot of different artistic opportunities that kids can pursue, and that Taft really encourages its students to learn about new things that they've never tried before. Now, another thing to remember on your tours is that you can stop anywhere to talk about anything that's going on at Taft. It doesn't have to be a set, definite interval. In fact, there's so much going on here that tours would really be missing out if we didn't go off script a little bit and tell them about everything they see or know about.
Yeah, so if you reach a long pause in your tour where there's not very much conversation, feel free to stop by a music room or the orchestra room just to have a few talking points and say, these are some things that Taft offers that are really great about it. So now you've arrived at the Jig. When you're at the Jig, make sure not just to mention that the Jig is a great spot to get food between classes, but also the Jig is where a bunch of social gatherings happen.
And when you give a tour, you want to be setting Taft apart with that tour. So don't be afraid to really walk through the Jig, explore what's going on, say hi to your classmates, point different cool parts of the Jig out, because that personalization is what really makes people feel at home here compared to other schools. Now, when you're outside, it might be a little loud and windy, so don't be afraid to really enunciate and use your voice. Also, these empty spots outside are a great opportunity to tell people about the dorms as well as the sports fields and the pond. It can also be really chilly when giving your tour, so don't forget to wear a jacket and always stay warm.
just doing some equations here. By now you've reached woo in a typical math classroom.
There might not be that much to say about math rooms, but there are definitely still a few things you can bring up. For example, the swivelly chairs allow for versatility and students to engage with each other. That's something that you could explain in your tours. Okay, now you're probably in a science classroom. And remember, if any classes are locked in woo and you need to get into a room to show a prospective touring family, don't hesitate to ask one of the maintenance workers or anyone who's around if they can open it for you. Once you're in a science classroom, it's definitely a good opportunity to tell your tour about all the different types of sciences that Taft offers, because it's just another one of the, I think, important ways in which Taft sets itself apart from other schools.
Also be sure to mention the importance that Taft pushes on labs. I know I like to mention in my tour how great labs are. They're some of my favorite parts about Taft Sciences, and I don't think a lot of schools get that opportunity.
Now, once you're at the library, it's a good time to start talking to your tour about study hall and how that works for underclassmen versus upperclassmen, as well as the different study rooms in the library that you can use whenever you need to as a Taft student.
Make sure to discuss also how great of a resource the library is. We have a bunch of online databases as well as encyclopedias and stuff like that that you can use for research papers and other stuff like that.
Yeah.
Coming up is a really dry spot in the tour where there's not a lot to talk about. So be sure to talk about sports and athletic requirements, as well as the different daily schedule that Taft has.
It's also a good time to bring up school spirit as far as athletics go, because that's something that I think really brings the community together at Taft, so it's definitely something important to tell prospective students.
Right.
Hey! Oh, dude, are you okay?
Get him.
Hey. So now we're at the athletic center, and as you can see, Teddy just took a pretty gnarly fall. It's kind of embarrassing. He seems pretty insecure about it, but if that happens to you on a tour, don't worry about it. It's totally fine. Shake it off and keep going. So we've mentioned this before, but make sure you talk about the tiny little nuances that really make Taft special. This is another great example once we get up to the athletic center.
Yeah, we got to like I said, make sure to show all the facilities that we have to offer. Cardio rooms, squash courts, basketball courts, everything. Just make sure to let everyone know what Taft has to offer.
Make sure you mention the squash courts. Welcome to Auden! Sometimes it'll be locked, like today, but you can still visit in spirit. You could tell them about Auden and how beautiful the rink is if it's locked, and if it's open, it's definitely worth checking out.
Yeah, be sure to mention all the awesome skate nights and hockey games that we have here. And if it is open, you can show them around a sports practice and give them a nice feel of what Taft sports are like.
And as you're walking back down from the gym to the school, you might again find a time when you're not really sure what to say. This is a really, really, really good time to bring up some of the important things that might not naturally come up in conversation, like Taft's honor code, Taft's different rule policies, so that just people are aware of the kind of school that they're applying to.
Yeah.
It's also definitely a good time to talk about, I think personally, how beautiful Taft is as a school. I mean, the people are really nice. This is definitely the best view on campus.
Yeah, I know for me, I always like to talk about the advisor system here, as well as the long weekends and breaks that Taft has, because those are sort of some things that aren't really self-explanatory and need further explanation.
Alright, so now we're in the dining hall. Make sure you mention all 3 individual dining halls as well as the schedules in which they're open, because that's important for kids to know.
Yeah, I really love mentioning also just how great the comedy and the kitchen staff really are. And then another thing that's really worth mentioning would also be sit-down dinners, because those are kind of unusual and different for some people.
So now we're in the dorm, HGT.
So if you're a boy tour guide touring a boy, you would show HET, but then if you're a girl, you would show MAC.
And it's important to remember that once you're in the dorm, it's a great time to just talk about how fun dorm life really is and how satisfying it is, because those connections that you form with the people you live with are really important. Then you want to check a room out. Definitely show a family a good, designated, clean tour room.
Yeah. In the dorms, there are a bunch of different things you can talk about. You can talk about monitors, faculty living in the dorms, singles, triples, and doubles, and then the body application process.
Yeah. We want to make sure we knock as well, because you never know what you'll expect in a model tour room.
Excuse me?
Yes, Rock.
Hello. How are you doing, dude?
Awesome. Let's keep going. And when you're checking out different people's rooms, it's good to talk about the things that every room has, like basic desk, closet space, relatively clean bathrooms, hopefully. And then you can also show them the common room and tell them kind of what it's used for and what students generally do.
Be sure to mention all the feeds and community activities that happen in the common room. I know Saturdays and Sundays are great for sports and stuff like that, as well as a bunch of day students and stuff like that with the homework here. So it's a great space. Make sure to mention that.
Yeah.
All right.
So you end your tour back in the Harley Roberts room. And you know, now that we're here, it's a good time to go over a few basic pointers again for tours, kind of try to synthesize everything we just talked about into a few tips and tricks. It's important to, let's say first,
Look them in the eye.
look your tour in the eye. Second, treat them warmly, like your friends, like people who you really want to convince that Taft is an awesome place.
Get to know them better. Really get to know why they want to come to Taft.
And show them everything that Taft has to offer in a way that shows how much it excites you every day. I hope you guys had fun watching this video.